time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Damas y caballeros, it's your boy Devin, the 702, coming at you for a special Thursday, 5 de Mayo, big boxing weekend preview of the Shoe Shine. Whoa. Fucked up my intro, Mario. Oh, guys. Great to have a special guest today on my special Thursday show, guys. We are actually watching, you guys can watch along at Top Rank Boxing on YouTube. We're watching the live media day workouts at MGM Grand, and we're about to watch the public weigh-ins in Times Square, New York City, or wherever they're going to be held. Special guest all the way from Texas, my good friend. You guys have seen him on The Boxing Voice. He's got his own YouTube channel, In Fighting Hub, Mario Mungia. ¿Qué pasa, homie?
¿Qué pasó a todos? It's good to be back on, bro. It's been a while, man. It's been a while, but you know, I wore the Cinco de Mayo colors, the Canelo shirt, everything, bro. We tapped in. We're ready, bro. We're ready. I'm excited.
Saludos, everybody joining us in the chat. I see Nando. Big shout out to my boy Nando. Share the show if you guys don't mind, guys. It's not a normal time, but I'm sure you guys are locked in, probably watching the Top Rank. I don't know if Inoue is going to step into the ring, but Mario, now that I live in Vegas, I've been going to these public media day workouts for the past, I've almost been here 2 years. To be honest, it looks like the crowd is even thinner. And normally I go to these things, but to be honest, every time I go, I seem to catch a fucking cold or a flu, or I've even caught COVID at these things when they're really, really packed, like, and you're just sandwiched in there. But this one looks a little thin, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna bother going because I got tickets to the fight on Sunday, and the last thing I want to do is get sick for this Inoue fight. So I figured let's just do a watch along. You've been doing some great things. You've been doing those watch along parties. I'm like, I got to get back into that, man. And I'm glad to have you on the show today. So again, let me know what you guys think. Nando already says Top Rank host Inoue, but what did you guys think? Were you watching that by any chance? You watching along?
What's that?
Public workouts right now. I think
yeah.
featherweight.
I got it on right now. They have, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Who's on there right now? Is it
well, now they switched to what's her name, but it was the main event, Espinoza, right?
El
he
Devino.
Was doing his workout. Yeah, hell yeah.
Rafael Espinoza.
That's a good fight.
It is a good fight. Actually, we're going to get to that preview right now. I see Ramon Cardenas of Texas. You got two brothers from Texas, man, and the co-main in the main event are Texas fighters. Ramon Cardenas, you know, Probox, the new promotional outfit has turned around the career of so many people, including Ramon Cardenas. So many of these Probox guys who've put on a dominant or exciting performance have gone on to get a title shot, bro. Like, I don't know anybody else in the boxing world that has done that with so many fighters. Even a world champion, right? When I'm thinking of the 122-pound champion from Las Vegas. God, I always forget names. I'm so bad with names, dog. But they've had a world champion, and we've got a world champion from Las Vegas. In the co-main event, Edward Vasquez, I had totally forgot about who Edward Vasquez was. But about a year back, I remember watching him. He fought Joe Cordina in Monte Carlo.
Oh, yes, the Cordina fight.
That fucking fight was great. And the scorecards were, in my opinion, man, there's so many fighters that have either gotten gift decisions that are fighting this weekend or have had decisions go in the wrong favor. And I think, to be honest, this Edward Vasquez in the co-main event, even though he's got short reach, he's got a lot of heart. And the performance he did against Joe Cordina for someone that was relatively unknown to me really impressed me. That's a fight that could have gone either way, but of course, Joe Cordina being the world champion, I think at the time, or it was the championship title fight, it didn't go in his favor, and that's kind of expected when you travel into other people's backyards. I see Cardenas right now working out. That is the main event against the monster Inoue. Trying to see if there's a lot of Japanese fans, dog. But at the same time, with all these tourism being down, I don't know how many people from Japan are going to come to town on Sunday. I'll be here.
Also, I don't know if they get our news like super easy over there, and so I don't know how many of them are going to be volunteering to jump on American planes right now at this time, bro. I'm not even trying to be a dick about it, but bro, if I was watching the news in other countries, and I'm like, damn, America, another one. Fuck, like maybe y'all shouldn't have fired all y'all's employees to save a couple $1,000s. But and I'm just bullshitting, right? But at the end of the day, like it I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard, and this isn't to be negative at all, but the Inoue camp, I keep hearing reports, I keep hearing rumors, are not happy. They're not happy with the way that this whole promotion went down. And I at first was very understanding about it. But then I looked, the card is solid. It's a good Sunday card. Okay, Shushan. And on top of that, come on, you have to know that when you go on a date where you have Canelo the day before, and then you have Turkey trying to just throw out a WrestleMania card type of thing the night before and do a 2 WrestleMania night. I mean, look, Shushan, my bad. Okay, there was 6 minutes before I mentioned wrestling, so there you go.
Dude. To be honest, if it wasn't for the WWE, who just came here like 2 weeks ago, I don't know what state the economy would be in Las Vegas. I mean,
Yikes.
And again,
I said it, bro. Oh,
I say this on my show frequently. Kudos to the UK. I didn't even talk to you about the Conor Benn fight, but 65,000 plus, potentially 70,000 people filled up that arena. I'm hearing that it did really.
Pay-per-view buys.
Exactly. How many pay-per-views?
So over 600,000. There is some speculation that it did closer to 7.
Wow.
But the most consistent numbers that we're hearing right now are closer to 6.
500K pay-per-view to most boxing fans, today's generation, that is the new million. It used to be a million, right?
Exactly, Shoeshine. You're absolutely right, bro. When we were doing this 10 years ago, a million was like, and so then now people in our age group or our demographic that were watching boxing 10 years ago, but it didn't stick with it or doesn't cover it the way we do, they are like, oh, see, there's no stars, like blah, blah. No, that's not the case. Yes, of course, nobody's Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao today, but at the end of the day, look, even my grandparents know how to illegally stream. Not that they do, but they know how, and everybody does. So it's like, you're right, 500 is the new million. It should be simply put just like that.
Oh, man. Saludos to F Donuts in the chat. I see my homie Fonzie619 who'll be coming to the Inoue fight with us on Sunday.
Out.
Yeah. And by the way, Fonzie, me and Fonzie had a little side bet going. My team, the San Francisco Giants, lost to the Padres 2 games in a row. Last week, I was bragging that my team, the San Francisco Giants, were in first place, and now I'm like 2 games behind the Dodgers, and it's just so much shit can change in baseball. Like the NL West is a hot division. So saludos to.
I hate Logan Webb. I'm just telling you right now, Logan Webb is somebody that I hate because he is one season the most underrated, greatest pitcher, top ace. And then the next season, he's terrible, and he's just like a roller coaster, but he's so good. That's the problem, is you can't bench him because he could easily give you 8 innings of 2-hit ball with like 9 strikeouts. Oh, I hate Logan Webb. But I love to have him on man.
This is a great point. I think it was Nando pointed out that he literally saw that they were giving away tickets to the fight this Sunday. I wish I would have known. Actually, I saw the tweet that Top Rank put out that they were giving it, that they had a guy walking around the T-Mobile Arena area in Las Vegas, and they were stuffing, it was like an Easter hunt thing. They were just stuffing free tickets in the plaza. And I saw that tweet an hour late because I'm like, well, shit, my family's coming to town for Cinco de Mayo. I'd love to get some free tickets. An hour late, too late, and they had posted, thank you to everyone, all the tickets are gone. So yeah, they were giving away free tickets in the plaza, just stuffing them in random ass places.
Yo,
that's crazy.
So fucked up, bro. And look, I don't know. Look, if you don't want me to talk about it, or if you don't want me to say anything, just interrupt me and we'll move on. We'll pretend I didn't say anything. But yo, it's kind of fucked up that like, you cover as much as you do, you work as hard as you do, you promote the shit out of every fight week in, week out. I mean, damn, they couldn't have just, if they knew they were going to give out X amount of tickets at the end and they're like, oh my God, guys, we got to fill this arena. Fuck, we're not going to make the money. Let's just do this. Yo, they should have at least hit a couple of the people that are in town that are holding it down week in and week out and be like, hey, bro, listen, we're about to do this Easter egg hunt thing, but hey, do you need like 2, 3, 4 tickets, bro? I'm not even joking. Like they should,
Top
bro.
Rank,
Like that's
Top Rank is
bro.
local too. Hey, y'all hear
I
Mario
know,
Top
that's
Rank?
what I'm saying. Like if it was Golden or if it was anybody, PVC, whatever, I wouldn't even have said this. But the fact that it was Top Rank of all, like, yo, listen to me right now. All right, if you all don't know, I will tell you. Top Rank has a list of guys that they love and hate. That's just the truth, right? And I promise you, Shoe Shine is on that love list. I promise you. You know,
I wish.
I
got the lady of the
at
PR.
Least you're not on the hate list. At least you're not on the hate list. I promise you that. And so I don't know. I just think they could show love.
Hopefully, I've been good to them. I try to be as fair as an impartial, guys. It's about to be 3:00. So according to that, they've already weighed in this morning, Mario. I saw the way everybody on the spectacular Friday night card in New York City, Times Square, made weight, which I wasn't concerned about any of them because almost, 3 of them were moving up in weight. Ryan Garcia struggled to make 143. We had, for the first time ever, Devin Haney's fighting at full welter. Is it? Oh, actually, no. Ryan's fighting at full welterweight. Raleigh's never fought at welterweight, so he's going to be undersized. He made weight perfectly. Devin Haney had the special catch weight. He wasn't fully ready, so he won at 144. Jose Ramirez never fought at welterweight either, so everybody made weight. So this is ceremonial. We're going to get to see what kind of condition they look, and that's about to start over there. Fonzie says, I don't know if you guys know, but May 30th, boxing at the Virgin, then May 31, boxing at the Michelob Arena. I did just see that, Fonzie, that Golden Boy is going to try to do, actually, you just did an interview with the fighter who's fighting Beck the Bully, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that really quickly.
So Darius Fulgrim is going to be fighting on May 30th. It's going to be a WBA eliminator. And listen, this is his big step up. But if you go and you look at Beck the Bully's resume and Darius's resume, you're going to see a lot of overlapping names. You're going to see a lot of differences in terms of stylistically how they handled the fight. But the progression of Darius Fulgrim has been one that you can follow. You could go right now, and his career on DAZN reads like a series on Netflix. You can go and you can watch 4 fights ago where you're like, oh yeah, he's got some pop, he can fight, but he's struggling a little defensively. Then you can go and you can say, well, look at this fight. He doesn't really understand offensively how to make that pressure and cut the distance, and you know what I mean? And over the last couple fights, you've seen him fine-tune both of those little things. So both of these guys, I feel like, are heading towards a collision course with each other that could be a really great fight. But beyond that, he said it himself on my show the other day, or this past week. He said, this is it. Golden Boy is going to have to figure out who they want to push at super middleweight. They're going to have to figure out who they want to get that beyond that goal line. Is it going to be him, Mungia, Plant's in there as well, which that was a weird thing he said, but I didn't want to go on into it. And so all of these different names he's brought up, he said this is his moment to become a thorn in all those other sides that think that they're in competition with themselves and not with him. He is very, very jazzed up for this fight. He knows, he called it himself a crossroads fight. Bro, Shushan, you've been doing this how long? How many fighters are undefeated, 20-something, and call it a crossroads fight? Because he's smart. He knows. He has a nursing degree. Okay, so this guy doesn't have to be a boxer, right? He could be making, way more money than he's making right now. Let's be honest. We all know how much fighters make at this level, right? And, he could be using his brain the way he could use it, but he's instead boxing and using it in a way of being his own nutritionist, being his own dietitian, creating workout programs for himself, all of that stuff, because he understands the body and the physiology in a way that most fighters really don't until they get way older. I feel like he is a guy to keep your eye on. That's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, indeed it should be. Shout out to my homegirl, Mom Food Planning Things. Mom Food, I would appreciate it so much if you would put Mario's link for his channel. If you could find it at YouTube Infighting Hub, I would appreciate that so much.
To you if you want.
Yeah, or if you could drop it in there too as well, Mario.
Yeah, let me drop it. My bad. I'll do that.
Excellent. Mom Food, I saw your workout earlier today. Saludos to Amanda, who won the Canelo Alvarez fight. Well, thankfully, Amanda, you didn't miss it. It's this Saturday. And for all of those that are coming to, let me quickly let you guys know, if you're coming to Las Vegas this weekend for the Cinco de Mayo weekend, I found a place that is showing the fight for free. In fact, I'm going to take my whole family there. It's at the Tuscany Casino. That's behind Paradise. It's kind of near the Virgin Hotel. The Tuscany Casino is having a free fight party at the sports bar. All you got to do is call and put yourself on the list, and you can save yourself some money if you're in town. But I'll be there. Mario, that's great that you talked to Fulham. He signed with Golden Boy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Fonzie and I just recently saw Beck the Bully, and I love fights where one guy's coming off a good performance. The other guy, Beck the Bully, did not impress. He put me to sleep in his last fight here in Las Vegas. I was disappointed. I'm like, this it's like a step back for Beck the Bully. The Beck the Bully who was on a tear, and then he had that massive interruption in his career, being knocked out by Gabe Rosado, which was like the best thing for Gabe Rosado's career. Gave him a whole second wind. And I've been just kind of waiting to see if Beck the Bully would emerge as a top super middleweight contender. And I don't know. You're right, man. It is kind of a crossroads fight. If Beck the Bully can't get past Fulham, somebody's going to take a major step back in their career. That's a big weekend coming up at the end of May, man. Thanks a lot for reminding me. Fonzie, I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Yeah, definitely. And I love The Virgin. By the way, guys, I love The Virgin. Years back, Mario, I saw Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor during the pandemic. I was not living here yet. And that happened to be that weekend. It was kind of COVID. COVID was kind of wrapping up. And they were just starting to have live audiences back in boxing. And they only allowed I think the capacity was really small. They could not allow full, you remember the distancing?
Yeah. Yo, crazy.
Wild. So that was a wild Jose Ramirez years back. Now it's like 5 years ago, but that fight, I remember being at the weigh-in. Christine Lopez was there that weekend. I didn't see her for this, but there was a melee between Jose Ramirez, the entire Fresno, his Avino, California posse, and Josh Taylor's entourage got into a melee. Bro. And it's on my page. Crazy. I remember talking to D-Ston. He's like, yo, why didn't you put that up immediately? He's like, that could have gone viral. I had no idea. Oh shit, I captured something on camera. But by then everybody had posted their version of this melee. But I was standing right there when that melee happened. That might have been the turning point. And we're going to talk about Jose Ramirez's career because it's been kind of all downhill since then for me, in my opinion. Right. Great guy. But if you want to talk about Crossroads, that's one. Just double checking the zone really quickly.
I got Top Rank. They're just showing Inoue highlights. Let me go to...
So you think Inoue is actually going to come in the ring? Because I've seen main event PBC main event guys, some of them, with the exception of David Benavidez, who religiously shows up to these public workouts. Some of the PBC fighters, they don't. Saludos to Carlos. I appreciate it. Amanda, I am not going to the fight. This is strange because my own mother booked a vacation with some of my cousins and my aunt. They came to Vegas this weekend. They're coming to Vegas thinking Canelo was here. As I was busting her balls, I'm like, you said you're my number one fan. You don't even listen to my show. He's fighting in Saudi Arabia. Where did you get the impression he's here this weekend? Inoue's fighting. Inoue's fighting. Somebody, she literally booked a vacation, dog. But you know what?
Bro, you know why she did it?
She's a Canelo fan.
Smart. Yes, because she's a Canelo fan, but because she's smart. But because she saw, wait a minute, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend, and Canelo's got to fight. Well, of course it's going to be in Vegas. And then when you tell her, no, mom, this man is sending him to another fucking part of the country, your mom is probably like, oh, okay, well, they're doing tomfoolery then. Never mind, this Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Honestly, she would, think about it. 9 out of 10 times, she would have been spot on. Y'all would have been like, oh, mom, you came through. You knew it was going to be this time, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Because, we go to the Astros game for every Father's Day. You know what I'm saying? So it's I wouldn't expect to be like, hey, we bought tickets to the Astros for Father's Day. Oh, shit, they're playing in Japan that day? You know what I'm saying? It don't make no sense to me. Make it make sense.
So, saludos, everybody joining. SB, Mom Food is back in here. Carlos, I appreciate it. You're not going to know who I'm talking about, Mario, but years back, there's a huge Las Vegas channel, Sin City Family, and they caught my mom. My mom was on their live stream. They used to get hundreds of people watching them. My own mom, I think the Canelo fight had just got out, and she was on that stream wearing these massive Canelo Alvarez gloves. She had just gotten out of the, I didn't go to that fight. I wasn't even in town. I didn't even live here. But she was on she was on that channel, guys. My own mother was on that channel coming out of the Canelo fight and talking to that host of that channel. But she didn't pay for that fight. This is the crazy shit, Mario. They just felt sorry for her. She rolled up to the T-Mobile and the fight was halfway underway against Dimitri Bivol. And they just said, come on in. They just fucking let her. My mom watched the entire last half of the Dimitri Bivol fight for free. For free. Like 5 of them just got to walk right in. And she storms out. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of live streamers and whatnot. And she was on that channel. She watched that fight for free.
Thing I've ever heard. Holy shit! So
for free,
bro. Hold on. Okay, I don't know about the rest of y'all listening and the people listening on playback, but I mean, I'm sorry. I feel like you just told us that we could all go to the end of the fights or the end of the games, and there's at least this much of a chance that we're getting in for free. A better chance if you dress like, an elderly or a child or somebody who's, you know what I'm saying, needs some help.
So I think she's banking on shit. I mean, I'm gonna ask, did you even look for tickets? Because obviously, Mom, he's not fighting here. She's like, she's probably thinking, work before. I'll just go in and sweet talk the ushers and just walk in for the last half of the.
Hilarious, bro. Yo,
so I did not get to see that fight. Of all fights, I really wanted to see that Dimitri Bivol fight. She got to see half the fight for free. Just walked right up in.
Man, I love that, bro. I love that so much. That's terrific. That reminds me of when I covered Canelo Lara, and my parents got tickets to the fight. And so I'm working this whole show, and Ness is running me around trying to get interviews. I didn't even get to watch like half of the undercard because I'm running around. And then I meet up with my parents like right afterwards. I go walk to where they are, and they have like Canelo autograph stuff, and they have all this merch, and they're like, hey, we ran into somebody from Golden Boy, and they took us to the blah, blah, and they let us meet Canelo when he was coming down. I was like, what? The fuck? I was working this whole time and y'all just got to have all this fun at the Canelo fight? Like, parents have drunk. Dude, I was hot. I'm not gonna lie.
So I see that the DAZN thing, the event in New York City is getting underway, guys. This is rather amazing that they're putting this on, but at the same time, I feel I got really strong opinions about this mega fight. All three, I agree 100% with Oscar De La Hoya. All three of these fights tomorrow night on a Friday are worthy of being main event type fights. They really are, but at the same time, very few people are actually going to be able to watch this in person. So let me just show you guys, if you haven't seen some of these pictures of what New York Times Squares looks like today. Turki Al-Sheikh, the person putting it on, this is Times Square preparing the ring for it. The ring is fully assembled for tomorrow night. 300 special people connected to Turki Al-Sheikh will get to watch this fight. The rest of us can watch it however you watch the event. You can pay for it on DAZN. $90 will get you both fights, Friday and Saturday. Or maybe you're lucky enough. $45. I agree. Actually, it's going to be really entertaining. 2 days worth of fights brought to you by Turki Al-Sheikh Riyadh season. And then the Sunday fight is totally different. Top rank. That's right here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Thank you to everybody joining us. Oh, yeah. This is off the cuff. Before everything gets started, I got to ask you, a lot of you guys don't know, but Mario's a burgeoning comedian. And this shit has been going around the internet and driving me bonkers, guys. I know some of you aren't hardcore boxing fans listening, so maybe you've heard of this thing. This is the most preposterous shit I've ever heard, Mario. That Mr. Beast, biggest YouTuber, is looking for 100 men to box, fight, grapple a gorilla.
No, stop it.
Bro. Who is signing up for this shit? Who is signing up for this? Have you guys seen how gorillas fight?
There's no way that could be true. Mr. Beast is literally becoming like the Walmart of YouTubers, right? Or has already become the Walmart of YouTubers. What am I talking about? And he's going to risk it all by having 45-year-old men and like tween influencers getting their arms ripped off of the socket by a gorilla. Like what's the sequel to this? He's gonna get like 5 kids to wrestle a shark. Like I don't understand. Like this is crazy. That's hilarious.
The
I would watch.
The funniest shit is reading people's chats, you know, reading the comments on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. There's just actually people out there that think that are arguing, oh, you know, black belt and jiu-jitsu, I'm sure they can probably, two of them could get them in a chokehold and whatnot. But shout out to Beetlejuice and everybody who's a Howard Stern fan. I love this picture that they put out. Is Beetlejuice could easily take out 100 gorillas. And, you know, the Rooneys are the famous boxing family. The Rooneys manage Beetlejuice. But look at that. Beetlejuice himself taking out 100 gorillas.
Hilarious, bro.
Nando says the Home Depot gang is always down. I honestly think some guy who came out as scientist. This guy claimed hilarious. This guy claimed to be, what do you call those people that study animals, biologists, whatever? He says, well, the first 20 people would probably get their arms torn off or chewed off, but the next 80 guys would take out the gorilla. So we do expect, they're like scientists. We expect some loss of life, some serious injuries, critical.
I love that. I so badly want to watch like the most serious 30-minute special on like just a half a dozen scientists trying to seriously convince us that it's going to go down the way they say it's going to go down. Like, well, first what's going to happen is the gorilla is going to obviously go after the genitalia. And then once he's ripped several genitalias like Christmas lights off of a house, the other 40 men will have grabbed him from the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to break this down, bro. Like, you could have Jim Lampley in there, and he is not going to be able to explain the fight that is going to be going down between those entities.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to my co-host, Drew Evil. I don't know if you're available later, but Drew, feel free to hop on. The weigh-ins are about to get underway. Official weigh-ins, guys. Everybody has made weight. This is great. They're showing some of the odds. Ryan Garcia, -900 favorite. Devin Haney, a -1200 favorite. So that really brings up a great question, which is tomorrow. We can get into some of the analysis right now. Where's the upset tomorrow? Where is it? There's somebody's gonna be an upset.
Quick, what are you watching it on? You're watching it on DAZN or YouTube?
I think I've got YouTube's DAZN, and I think you could also watch it on Golden Boy.
Yeah, I was on Golden Boy's YouTube. That's why.
And also,
I'll switch to yours.
Probably DAZN, Golden Boy. It would be cool
if we just, like, I'll watch one stream, you watch the other. That way we could, you know what I'm saying? Like, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to present before we started, chopping this up, and this is a question that I am very interested to hear from the chat, or have answered from the chat. So I had proposed a segment, right, to Shoe Shine about like matching the comedians with the fighters, right? Because I feel like this whole entire card is just like, you know, the most entertaining guys, you know, coming forward and basically doing what they're doing because they have to, you know, hide the fact that none of them are fighting any real good fights, except for Theo. And so I said, you know what, though? That's not it. That's not what I want to know. This is what I want to know. Let's take all of the whole fight, the whole Cinco de Mayo, and let's make it one card. Okay. Friday, Saturday, everybody. I want to know for people who is the main act in their minds, the fight they're looking forward to the most, the guy they're looking forward to the most, who is the mid act, right? The fight that isn't the worst, isn't the best. And then who is the opening act of this whole thing, right? Because it's like, you look at it like a show, like the way that WrestleMania used to be presented was like you had your opening act to get everybody popped. Then you had another match that was like, it was okay, but it was just to get you to that next level, right? And everything's geared up towards this main event. And I feel like it's hard to put your finger on what that is because there's so many different narratives, right? Canelo's going for a fight against somebody that nobody wants him to fight, but Terrence Crawford and Undisputed is on the line. And then you have Rolly and Ryan who have historical, shit-talking beef, but they're also not anywhere. Like one of them's skyrocketed up and the other one skyrocketed down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like not the same fight. Devin, Ryan, Tio's actually in a good fight with Barbosa. So there's so many different things. I wonder if the fans could make this one card and structure it. This is the opening pay-per-view bout. This is the co-feature. This is the main event. How would they place it? Would Ryan Garcia still be the main event of Friday? Would Canelo even still be the main event? Because in my opinion, Tio and Arnold Barbosa is the best fight and the one that I'm looking forward to the most. So if we as fight fans believe that the most competitive fights should be the ones showcased the most, then Tio Barbosa by default should be the main event. Even if Ryan and Rolly are the ones that are getting all the views, even if Ryan and Rolly are the ones that are acting like idiots and getting all the clicks and stuff like that on all the interviews, fine, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we as fans don't believe that that's a competitive contest. So, I am curious to see what people think. I'm curious to see what you think. And I think as the show goes, we'll find out, who's excited about what the most.
Well, interesting. Nando already made a suggestion. He says, and I've got this graphic right above your head. It has the 5 biggest fights, but it's great you mentioned Jaime Mungia is facing he had been.
Oh, I forgot. Yes.
He's the co-main and the Canelo fight. He's not on this graphic. He says Mungia versus Sirachi should be the opening card and Ryan versus Raleigh is the main event. There's, at least 6 great fights. There's a heavyweight fight on Saturday. I agree with you. Great job,
Nando. I love that.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Mario, that Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa, to me, is the most competitive fight of all of these 5 here.
Nights,
it's
right?
it's like a Super Bowl weekend of fighting, but
it is.
For Jaime, he's facing a major crossroads fight. For him to lose again to Surasi, the guy who knocked him out in his backyard in Tijuana, it feels like a career-ending type fight. Obviously, he'll continue to fight at super middleweight, but to lose to the same guy again just makes Surasi no longer a fluke. It makes him a star in that division, almostly. So I'm glad you brought that up. That is the co-main event. If anybody else wants to put it in the chat how you would structure this, I hear you. Canelo doesn't seem like it's a foregone conclusion. I'll look at those odds really quickly, but Canelo's going to smoke William Skull.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the thing. You know what? Another aspect of this, it feels almost like WrestleMania, right? And Barbosa and Tio is the night 1 main event where everybody cares about it. There's actual stakes. It means something to the sport versus night 2, which was represented by Cena in that case, is just the star getting out there and getting his star treatment, getting the belt that we all think that, he thinks he deserves. Like Canelo believes he's the undisputed champion and he should be the undisputed champion, right? Just as John Cena thought he should have been the champion after WrestleMania, but it's all based on clout. Neither of them earned it against, the best fighter in a fair match. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like you have that night 2 main event, which is Canelo because he is the star, but he's not in anything compelling. But then you have this fight with Tio and Barbosa that actually means something, that you have narratives with the Barbosa that we've seen grow from the top ranked shows where we were suspect, right? To this point now where he's reestablished himself as a potential threat to a guy who 5 years ago in Tio, we were talking about the takeover, pound for pound, best of the 4 kings in the lightweight division. So
great point. By the way, I got, speaking of WrestleMania, I'm surprised by these press conferences, how muted most of these personalities were. And we talked about like who's the funniest, who's most likely to have a comedian counterpart. If we could narrow down a comedian counterpart, well, I think Teal continues to steal the show. He came in paying homage to, is this Santo? El Santo from Mexico, the luchador mask on Cinco de Mayo weekend. He's still, to me, probably out there as the most colorful character on stage. And Arnold Barbosa, he's a guy from El Monte. Shout out to everybody from San Gabriel Valley down in Southern California. He's definitely a much more serious guy. Incidentally, I saw when it was in January of 2024. Shoot, we went to a fight. I think Fonzie was there, my boy in the chat. We saw Arnold Barbosa win his first fight with Golden Boy and chase Teofimo, who I later saw in the hallways the same night. I interviewed Tio and his dad while he was chasing him down, trying to get this fight, and it's finally coming to fruition. But it's coming to fruition after leaving Top Rank for Arnold Barbosa Jr. And he did everything. He went across the pond and beat Jack Catterall. He's done everything to secure this fight, and now it's finally going to happen. And I was talking with Drew. Drew really thinks that Teofimo is going to struggle on Saturday night. Just historically, he's had some very close fights with Jermaine Ortiz, a slick southpaw. And he's also had troubles with Sandor Martin. With these style type fighters, So I'll ask you, is Teofimo going to fight above the level of his opponent in Arnold Barbosa Jr., or he's going to fight to his level and make this fight more competitive than it needs to be, potentially allowing Arnold Barbosa to walk away with an upset in New York, in his backyard, New York City? I mean, remember, guys, the takeover's from Brooklyn. He's a Brooklyn boy.
Would you call it a bigger upset than if Ramirez were to win or Rolly were to win?
Rolly beating Ryan Garcia would absolutely be a bigger upset. Yeah, I think it's the most least likely. Shout out to Lukey Boxing. He talked about this on. He talked about this on his channel. Not to underestimate Raleigh. Raleigh has a history with Ryan Garcia. They sparred 2 sessions at TMT in Las Vegas, 2017. It's out there for the world to see that Raleigh roughed him up. That's a long time ago, though, bro. That is a really long time ago. And you just see the fights that Raleigh's been in. He's been knocked out twice recently by a smaller Pitbull Cruz. He's been knocked out by Tank Davis, walked into that shot. What about this guy? Oh, shit. Let me show you this guy, Mario. Let's not forget
the mask, and he weighed in with it. Yo, sick.
Let's not forget about this guy. Guys, all the face app bullshit y'all do on Twitter. I did not face app Israel. Is it Israel Barrosas or Ismael Barrosas? Yeah. I didn't face app him too. I think literally we're about the same age. I'm aging. I'll just put it out. I think I'm aging better than Barrosos. But man, Raleigh said this week that Barrosos is the hardest puncher he's ever fought, and he did not deserve that fucking free win. Tony Weeks, you're an asshole for what you did. He made Raleigh a champion. That's something that Ryan Garcia can't even say. He's never been a champion. He also got a gift against Marinez, the Dominican fighter, way back in the day at PBC when they were still showing fights on Fox. I think he's gotten 2 questionable gifts. Ryan Garcia, I can't really say he's had any questionable gifts. I think this ends in stoppage. You just look at the size difference, but what do you guys think? Fonzie says Raleigh has no power, a late bloomer in boxing, so no chance, but he is a boxing YouTuber. Drew says he picks for tomorrow that Teo will only win 3 rounds. That's really interesting. Mario, speaking about Raleigh, huge personality, but lately he's been muted. Who wins this fight and by what fashion?
I think Ryan Garcia wins, and I think we likely see a stoppage. Look, I think that a lot's been made about like Ryan Garcia and how he looks right now, and obviously the Haneys are trying to push a narrative that puts an idea in all of our minds. But ultimately what we saw last is what we have to go on with Ryan Garcia. And in a fight where I'm pretty sure that he was not doing the things that put you in the best position to win, he still came out and had one of the best performances of the year. And so I feel like in a position where you have a Rolly who has very little over the last year to really be excited about or get up for in boxing. You said it best earlier. It's like, it's completely different. Like, I think you said it about Jose Ramirez, where you could pick that moment in time in his career in the timeline where you could see, okay, that's where it started to traject down. And the same thing is true with Rolly. Now, I mean, where you could pinpoint that moment, I'm not sure. It could just be an entire career of being built up that was ultimately always going to be, a landslide down. But there's only one person in a position to win this fight with another fight on the horizon and a big, bright future. So remember, it isn't just Rolly having to overcome all of that mental stuff and everything. It's also Rolly having to overcome the A-side effect that is going to be very, very prevalent on fight night. Okay, there are dozens upon dozens of people in the arena that night that have a future invested in Ryan Garcia monetarily, and the money that can be made with him is vastly superior to what could be made of Rolly. So you're going to have a fan base, judges, a promotion, all geared towards waiting for that Ryan Garcia moment, especially if Devin wins and they can get that face off in the ring afterwards. They're going to want it more than anything. So Rolly's got to beat not just Ryan Garcia, but about 4 different entities that night. I don't think he can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Speaking of, Ryan Garcia had this to say on Boxing Scene. You can see this comment. He said, I retired Luke Campbell, I retired Javier Fortuna, and I'm about to retire Raleigh and be done with these dudes. Whenever I get a feeling about retiring someone, I just know it. I know once I knock him out, he's done. I'm watching Arnold Barbosa Jr. He looks in great shape. He had a little flag giving a shout out to all the people in El Monte, California. Speaking of Arnold Barbosa, Lukey was kind enough to bring him on my show one random night on a Monday night, and he was promoting a comedy event. This is really going to be interesting to you, but he's really good friends with Felipe Esparza. He was on his podcast, and Rodrigo Torres, who I used to talk to often. Rodrigo Torres, who is his opening act for Felipe. He did his own comedy show. He's put on his own comedy events in the San Gabriel Valley, and apparently they sell extremely well. If I lived locally in Southern California, I would absolutely be going. But count him as a comedy promoter. Something very interesting about Arnold Barbosa Jr.
Very cool. Very cool.
Teal's got a blue mask on now, guys. By the way,
that's the Mil Mascaras mask right there.
I love it. The odds are much closer on this one than probably, like you said. This is going to be the most competitive fight. I can see Drew thinks we got an upset here. The only question is that you're in Teofimo's backyard. If he does outbox Teal, it hasn't gone well for guys who've outboxed Teal, including Jermaine Ortiz. I saw that fight live, very close. Sandro Martin dropped him and still didn't get the nod. I don't think Barbosa drops him. Maybe he outpoints him and still doesn't get the nod. You mentioned that for Ryan Garcia, there's way too much at stake for super fights, mega fights. I think the same thing applies to the stardom of Teofimo Lopez, that it's going to be very hard to get a decision win against him. Mike Tyson in the house. Mike Tyson in the front row. I saw that. Mike Tyson, I think one of the people who was first interested in fighting a gorilla. Actually, that's where this whole premise came from.
Shit.
I think at one point he looked into fighting a gorilla. Actually, that's fucking wild.
I remember hearing a story about that one time, but if that's true, man, how desperate is he to get that Paul stink off of him to have to want to fight a gorilla next? To be like, we got to make everybody forget that I ever got in the ring with Jake Paul.
Yeah, I love it. I can see Teo's talking a lot of shit, but I don't know what he's saying. But he's definitely the most hyped fighter coming into the ring at the moment. So do you think Arnold Barbosa can outpoint him and still get the nod? Drew pointed out Cambozo's got the win in New York City. It's happened before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Arnold Barbosa has a chance to win. If I had to put this fight at anything, I'd say it's a 60-40. I think that even if it is greater than a 60-40 in Teo's favor, you have to remember that the numbers are based on like momentum as well, right? Because like if you would have asked, like, okay, let me ask y'all. If I were to ask y'all, hey, who wins a fight between Teofimo and Arnold Barbosa, but this is 2022, right? You would have a very different answer than you would have today in 2025. And that's because one of them has built a momentum up based on really good performances, based on making adjustments, and has proven to us in a systematic way that he is getting better. And that is Arnold Barbosa. For Teo, he showed us how great he is. We know how great he is to a degree, but can he go and perform, right? You said it best, and the way you said it reminded me so much of the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like there are some guys, some teams that play to their opposition, right? And they can be one of the best on the field or best in the court or best in the ring at any given moment, but it's the other guy that dictates what comes out of them. And I feel like sometimes Teo is one of those guys. He feels like if he's the only one expected to make a show, then the show becomes about him, and he's going to wear masks and he's going to dance and he's going to say crazy stuff. And then he's going to be distracted when he goes in there on fight night. We've seen it. But then on the other side, when it's that focused version of Teo that's so ultra focused that he ends up pulling out a performance that nobody expected, that's also Teofimo Lopez.
Like the Josh Taylor performance. That was a stunning dominant performance. The performances he had at 135 when he became the takeover, I think when he went on that knockout streak was I think that's a good illustration of what you just pointed out.
Yes.
Jose Ramirez looks like he's stepping in the ring. Nando says this is his big cash out fight. I love Jose. I love what he's done for his community. He's a real pillar of his community in the Fresno area. I also thought earlier that potentially, he did not look great in his last fight. He hasn't looked great in a lot of fights. He's beats guys he should beat, but they've been older fighters like Pedraza. I do feel like he has a small chance at an upset because we just don't know what condition Devin Haney is after being dropped so many times by Ryan Garcia, moving up in weight. At the same time, he's had a year off. He's going to be very rusty. I feel like he has the potential to hurt him just because Devin Haney's been hurt so many times before, including in that last fight where he was rocked. He probably needed a year off. How do you feel about Jose Ramirez catching him with a lucky shot and hurting him? And if he does get that lucky shot in, can he finish him? Does he have it in him to be a finisher?
I don't. I just don't. I think that I can't remember what moment you said in his career, but you were absolutely right. The trajectory from that point was clear. Listen, by the way, your lighting went down again. I think it's the facial recognition. So what ends up happening is you see with Jose Ramirez, he had this ability in the amateurs and in the Olympics, which he brought into the boxing game, right? Into the pro ranks. But he doesn't utilize his abilities the same way he used to. He doesn't utilize his reach anymore because he really can't now that he's higher in weight classes. But I just feel like the Jose Ramirez that could have beaten Devin Haney would have to be transported in the DeLorean from like 2018. Seriously, like I do think that there is a version of Jose Ramirez that absolutely goes 50-50 with Devin Haney and could beat him. But I don't think that's the version that we've seen in a long time. Can he roll that back? That's the question here. Can he do something surprising at a time where Devin Haney made most vulnerable to surprises? So can he be surprising at a time where Devin Haney is most vulnerable to surprises? That's going to be the question. It's going to have to be a systematic thing. I just can't see Jose Ramirez landing that big shot that turns the momentum. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're going to see Ryan Garcia 2.0. Not at all. If he is winning this fight, it is because Devin Haney can no longer swim in deep waters. Certainly not with a shark, which I don't think Jose is. But, Jose can definitely swim in deep waters. That's what we know. And that's what he'll come to do. He's not going to stop fighting. Devin, on the other hand, we're going to have to see.
I got to agree 100% with Nando in the chat, who says he has not had a big win since Mo Hooker, and that seems like ancient times. It really is going to be a resurgence in his career if he can pull off an upset. And again, I don't think that they would sacrifice Devin Haney with this massive rematch on the line, massive rematch with Ryan Garcia, that they would put him in against somebody they did not feel confident he could beat, outpoint, dominate. They just don't do that in the sport of boxing. They just don't do that in the business side of boxing. I really am. Hey, shout out to Andy Vences, El Tiburon, who used to fight on Top Rank. He made a great video the other day on YouTube. He's got his YouTube channel. He 100% is rooting for, Jose Ramirez, of course, California guys, but at the same time, maybe he doesn't think, we're rooting for him, but we don't know if it's going to happen. It remains to be seen if he lands that lucky punch. Let's see who's coming up to the stage now.
I see Devin is just on talking with Cop.
Okay, it's Devin. You mentioned Bill Haney, guys. What did you guys think? This was a big deal last year, and I was really upset. I was kind of fired up about the Ryan Garcia last year being caught on Osterine, a banned PED substance. And eventually he basically pled like no contest, right? If it was an actual trial, criminal trial, he basically pled no contest, and he got a very short suspension, one that literally just ended weeks ago, if not a week ago. This is Ryan Garcia, the week of Devin Haney fight 1. That's his physique. Bill Haney had a lot to say. Bill Haney really got under the skin of Ryan Garcia. And this is what he looked like, at the public workout yesterday, 2 days ago, right? 147-pound Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Big difference. Okay, I get it, Bill. You're right. You know, obviously, and if you look at what Osterine does, it wasn't a system. It enables you to cut weight without sacrificing muscle tissue. And you can't see that. You could see that he was a lot more flushed. His muscles were a lot more flushed in that first Devin Haney fight. This looks like a natural physique.
Yeah.
Will he have any? Is it enough? The natural Ryan is enough to beat Raleigh, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think not only is it enough to beat Raleigh, but you know, I don't think that, like, if you want to argue that he used that performance enhancing drug, I could see the argument where you could say, look, this is where it's advantageous, right? Ryan was strong in the later rounds. Ryan kept and maintained a stamina that, you know, is a very high level thing to do. And I'm not saying that he's incapable of doing that on or off anything. All I'm saying is that he did do it. You know what I mean? So to see the performance this time around, it's going to be very important for him to show those same dynamics, right? But you see what the Haneys are doing. See, Bill is a master propagandist. He really is. And I'm not even saying this in like an ugly way or talking shit. I'm being dead serious right now. He is as good as Danny Garcia's dad was at it, in putting things out there that bother the other side or poke at them, right? Or maybe just implant that little, like, I don't know if everybody remembers that Dane Cook set where he's like, yeah, your girlfriend ninja sends that thing into your brain and then it just blows up in like 10 days. And you're like, yeah, what do you mean I fucking love my mom too much? Like, you know what I mean? You blow. And that's what the Haneys are so good at. Putting things in your head and being like, oh shit. And so Ryan has to keep that mentality. But yeah, dude, I don't know. A lot of people are now commenting and talking about what the Haneys were saying. It became a whole thing now. It's one of the bigger, views that Ring Magazine and Golden Boy have right now on any of their social medias. Is that nothing to do with the fights that are actually going to happen, but the arguing contest that transpired between Bill Haney and Ryan Garcia yesterday at the media workouts.
Yeah. By the way, they just showed Conor Benn, guys. Nando says Conor Benn is at the win. Conor did say, he announced it yesterday. I've got the picture already. I'll be at ringside to watch you get the job done Saturday. And there's been a lot of arguments. This was a fight of the year type contender. Conor Benn was just in last Saturday. We talked about it. 70,000 screaming UK fans, the best boxing fans in the world, in my opinion. He's there now. And it begs the question, why even do a rematch? They're contractually, I guess they signed a contract for a rematch. But I think both of these guys, Conor Benn and Eubanks, can move on. I feel like what they did was phenomenal, and they're just stunting their professional boxing career. Conor Benn is here. He's had some meaningful exchanges, bad words, bad blood between him and Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is fighting at welterweight. Conor Benn is probably best suited for welterweight. You know, he was a top welterweight contender. That is a huge fight financially. If Ryan Garcia wants to go across the pond and take on a welterweight version of Conor Benn, could equally be as massive as the fight as the one they just had, potentially, especially since this is a title fight. I fucking forgot to mention, I'm sorry. This is one of these guys is walking away as the WBA regular whatever that means, regular welterweight champion. Ryan Garcia or Raleigh Rolando Romero, one of them guys is going to get a belt. Something that, hey, Conor Benn hasn't had a regular belt. There's a lot of great fighters who have not been world champion yet. But what do you make of that? You make Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. run it back for financial purposes?
Yeah, I don't mind the rematch. I don't really want it next. The thing is that the way this narrative was supposed to work was that Conor Benn was supposed to be the guy that comes in and proves how badass he is, that he can move up and, you know, he's this good. He could beat a guy like Eubank, blah, blah. And Eubank, for all of his popularity, you know, if you go and look at his resume, you go and look at his career, he's never really shown that he was a guy that could be considered a top 3 super middleweight or top 3 middleweight or junior middleweight, even when he was fighting then. And so I look at it and I say, okay, well, the outcome shocked everyone. But if it wasn't Conor Benn wouldn't be asking for or Conor Benn wouldn't be trying to get a rematch with Eubank. You know, he wouldn't give a shit. He has so many other options that, of course, they weren't going to revisit a rematch, no matter how good it was. But with Eubank, what are those other options? Who are those other people that he can fight? No, I'm not saying there aren't great fights in that division or around it. I'm Canelo? Saying who's actually going to make that fight. Yeah, but and see, there you go. And there's a Canelo fight there, but you got Crawford next, or you got Skull next, and then you got Crawford. So that's not going to be his next.
There's going to be some waiting time.
Exactly. So if you're Eubank, you probably do want that rematch because it's a smaller opponent that you've already beaten, that you know will sell tickets. And at the end of the day, if you have the guy in charge of the whole world of boxing, Turkey, saying, hey, the winner of this fight is eventually going to fight Canelo, well, then I'd be wanting to only fight that fight. Why would I risk fighting McCumbee or Plant or somebody who, you know, can crack? I'm not going to. I'm going to fight that guy. It was a great fight. It was a fight I don't think we need to see again. Conor Benn did one thing really great that night. He proved to all of us that he's got a heart, that he can go out there and fight. I'm not saying that's going to make everybody just be like, exactly. And that's not going to make every single fan go, okay, we forgive you, or okay, maybe you are not a cheat. Of course not. But it will give them the chance to at least give him another chance. So why not go to welterweight, junior middleweight, and start to establish the big fights that can be made with guys like Virgil, with guys like Boots, fights that would be not just huge domestic fights for the UK that spill into the United States, but a fight that would be huge everywhere.
Mario, I got to step away from the mic for a quick minute. If you don't want to take, you got it? Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Of course. Yeah, listen, so you got Ryan Garcia now on the scale. Let's see if there's going to be any shenanigans. Oscar looks asleep. Yo, they brought out Michael Buffer. They got Mike. See, that's the thing is Turkey and them, they understand, like, how to sell the fight to us boxing fans. Like, they know who we want to see at these events. They know who we want to hear from at these events. You know, so that's why I was surprised they put Berlanga on. Yeah, I'm just playing. But yeah, you got Ryan and Rolly now staring at each other. This is a hardcore stare right here. This looks more intense than anything that we've seen thus far. Most of the time, they've seen like super jokey with each other. Like, how many of y'all saw the sit down, right, where they're laughing and making fun of Blair Cobbs together? Like, why don't y'all just go on a date already? Like, are you going to give him a goodnight kiss? Like, why are y'all making jokes about, first of all, Blair Cobb's the champ? You know, y'all need to chill on that. Second of all, though, you know, y'all are acting buddy-buddy. Like, where's that heat from like 3-4 years ago? That's the only reason people wanted to see you fight, is because Floyd Mayweather said, Ryan, I'll pay you X amount if you fight this young and up-and-coming hungry kid named Rolly. Well, it didn't happen. And then Rolly got exposed a couple of times. And so now it's not the same sort of thing. But, you know, it still could be a fun fight. No shenanigans, Shoeshine. No shenanigans from Rolly or Ryan at all. But it was an intense stare down.
Yes, I'm watching it right now. I don't know if I'm a minute behind. I see Ryan trying to intimidate him. These guys, these guys have a past friendship. So I think a lot of the reasons why Raleigh was muted in the press conferences and whatnot is because of the friendship. But it's all business come tomorrow night. Raleigh does have the puncher's chance. You know, Ryan has been dropped by Luke Campbell. But I think the real puncher's chance is that Ryan's going to land his signature left hook. And the fact that Raleigh's been down so many times now in his career, I think this is the most improbable of the 4 fights tomorrow to end in an upset. But
absolutely,
you know, every time I'd see Raleigh at fights, man, half my friends are like, no, I don't want to go talk to Raleigh. It's like,
yeah.
He's polarizing.
He is. He's got a very watchable personality, but I don't know. It's like, think about all the clips like you've ever laughed at or enjoyed from Raleigh, and then take them all and build the character and ask yourself, would you want to just like go to Texas Roadhouse and eat with that guy? You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy that's gonna be like throwing peanuts across like 4 tables. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you know who goes and
eats? Kid that was always in ISS. I'm telling you that right now.
You know who goes and eats with him frequently? And shout out to them is the he's a cut man. He's the oh gosh. I'm blanking out on who his father and son trainer from San Jose, California. God, help me out.
Jeez. When it comes back to me, I'll let you guys know. Jeez, why do I forget? Jay Santos. Team Santos. Bob Santos' his son.
Yeah, Bob Santos.
Yeah, and Jay is a young guy. They're about the same age. They go and eat out all the time. And I had gotten a picture from Jay. They went to one of my favorite Mexican restaurants. So now I'm envisioning, it's a restaurant I frequent too in Las Vegas, exactly what it's like to eat a meal with Raleigh. Drinking margaritas. Yeah, shout out to Jay Santos. Excellent young up-and-coming trainer. He's going to follow in his father's footsteps. I see Ryan Garcia is talking. You guys saw that Conor Benn is there. I love the idea of that fight. I think there's some bad blood, genuine blood, both explosive. And there's a lot at stake. Like earlier, we just saw the public workout at Top Rank, and I don't want to pass him up. But after this weigh-in is done, I'd love to talk about the Top Rank card. But Emiliano Vargas, you talk about future stars, Mexican-American future stars. And I see that Ryan is talking about, I think I got 2 more fights with Oscar De La Hoya, and I'm going solo. He said that this week. He's got a 4-fight plan. Unfortunately, I don't see in this 4-fight plan, I don't see Conor Benn, which I think he should. He included Raleigh, Devin, Teofimo, and then Gervonta Davis. I think Conor Benn should be at the top of that list. But Emiliano Vargas, who I think Top Rank has been doing a fine job bringing him along. Obviously, they've done an incredible job with Xander Zayas. Huge news this week, Mario. In fact, Xander Zayas lined himself up in position to get the Fundora fight mandated by the WBO. The WBO put out the purse bid this week, middle of the week. They're like, hey, Friday at the MGM Grand. The WBO will be there because of the Inoue fight. We will have the purse bid. Whoever wants to bid on this fight between PBC's Fundora and Xander Zayas for the world title. And then we hear that Fundora drops the title. Fundora says, you know what? Go in a different direction. Major news. Fundora does not want to continue to be unified champion. He's going to go in the direction of a Tim Tszyu fight. And this puts Xander Zayas, who I think Top Rank, this is what they do best, guys. They build up prospects.
But did Fundora have a choice, though? Because I thought it was Tim's rematch to take.
So that's what I mean, we could speculate. I don't have any direct connections. Like D-Style would have a very good idea by talking with it. Ask him, because he's probably talking in communications with Glenn, who's Tim Tszyu's manager. I've heard that they're executing a rematch clause, but I've never heard of a rematch clause being executed 2 fights later. After losing. Yeah,
that's the part to me. See, and somebody wrote something about there being an aspect in the contract that they would have given them like a single title defense that was like not mandatory. And so that technically the way the contract is written out, they still had a green light to take it. There was still an activation window for the rematch clause, but you're right. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of a rematch clause that was capable of being activated. Now, it could also be bullshit, right? It could also be a way of Fundora trying not to ruffle any feathers, while he takes this match. But man, dude, I felt like it was all, and poor Thurman, nobody's ever wanted to fight that guy over anyone else.
I was all like, I thought that was the foregone conclusion that we were going to get a Tim Tszyu versus Thurman. The rematch is much better. And the first fight was incredible. It was a bloodbath, an epic bloodbath. And I don't have a problem with the rematch, but I like Fundora a lot, man. I like him and Gabriela, his sister. And I just would love to have seen Fundora and Samson, his management team, look for a way to unify and continue to be on the path to being undisputed. PBC doing PBC type things or whatever, if it's politics. With Top Rank, they're going to go in the direction of just having one title. And Xander, the guy Xander is going to fight. The one that he's in fight just beat Charles Conwell. I think it's an amazing fight. From what I saw of Jorge Garcia Perez, who just beat Charles Conwell, a former Olympian, this is a great fight. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Let's do it. Let's do it on Puerto Rican Day Parade this summer. Fantastic. Xander Zayas could potentially walk away with his first championship. Dude, I was at his very first fight. I got to interview him before he even went professional. I was so lucky to follow him and watch his first pro fight and his second pro fight. This is him after winning his second professional fight at the Cosmopolitan. Just an easy kid to root for. And now with Emiliano Vargas, the son of Fernando, this picture is going to trip you out. I don't know if you can see this picture, Mario. Emiliano fighting on Sunday. This picture is Emiliano. I think this was at the Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Packed. Look at every seat. You see that behind me? Every fucking seat was sold out for that. I paid so much money to watch Julio Cesar Chavez look like a punching body bag.
Yo, that's crazy.
Little Emiliano Vargas now he's just turned 21, on his way to stardom with Top Rank. And I'm just going to say it right now. It is 100% is going to happen that he is going to fight Ryan Garcia. That they are going to fight at some point, because it's just basically Oscar De La Hoya didn't have any male children that I know of. He doesn't have a son that's a professional boxer. This is the closest thing you're going to get to a rematch between Oscar De La Hoya, or maybe, yeah, this is the closest thing we're going to get to the offspring of Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia, and Emiliano Vargas fighting. Two Chicanos from very different backgrounds, like Oscar. Yeah. Oscar was the golden boy. And Vargas was the
Sureño. No, I'm playing.
He was the Sureño. Well,
nah, he was that hood Mexican.
He was hood, like that, bro. They are hood.
And Oscar was that kid that transfers in from Mexico that comes from like a rich ass family. You know what I'm saying? So he's all like, he don't talk to nobody. I don't know. We had one of those. Maybe y'all didn't, but yeah. So I remember that fight back then, and it was like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you were going for Oscar, then everybody at school was like, man, you're a bitch, blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were going for Vargas, like, it was just like separated the culture completely in a way that I would not mind revisiting again. Like, I don't know. It was a fun fight, right? It would be awesome to relive it from this seat, right? As opposed to like actually like being invested in it and caring like who wins that fight. But, yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. That is a future pay-per-view, if done right, if both men continue to excel.
So this is Amanda in the chat says, who's that little boy? So my mom's crazy. She's like, my mom's one of those like always checking out younger men. And I remember when the father, Vargas Sr., fought Oscar De La Hoya, I think was that 2001. Oh, we were having a party and she was like, oh, look at Fernando. Oh my God, look, did you see Fernando? I'm pretty sure mom's going to see Emiliano this weekend and be like, oh my God, look at Emiliano. Look at him now. Oh my God. But that's Amanda. That's Emiliano. That's what he looks like now. And that's what he was when he was already a young, they had been filming that TV reality show. I don't know, Mario, if you knew that. They had a very successful reality TV show. It was filmed in Las Vegas. It was called Los Vargas on Univision, the Spanish network.
What? For real?
You didn't know? They filmed 2 seasons.
Know that.
What was
I got Univision too. What the fuck?
Univision, Los Vargas. They filmed 2 seasons. And at the time, the show was still filming. So when I met them, one of the big stars on that show, of the reality TV show, was the father-in-law of Fernando's wife. They called him Suegro, and I was sitting right next to Suegro for the entire fight. And at the time, I'm like, dude, I love your reality TV show. It was a treat. Like, oh shit, I'm watching Canelo fight, and I'm sitting next to the Vargas family, sitting next to the Vargas family, and now here he is. You knew in that reality TV show that of the 3 sons, that Emiliano was the standout. You knew it. You could see it even training. They were showing him training. Mm-hmm. That, of course, they were all very talented. But that Emiliano was going to have the highest ring IQ, the highest speed, power. He just inherited everything from his dad, and that's why Top Rank assigned him, and not the other 2 sons. Right. So, anyways, Emiliano's coming up. Is the weigh-in done?
Yeah, it's done, but they're interviewing Conor Benn right now. Everybody in the chat is saying that he's talking that shit about Ryan, I guess, probably. Yeah, and it's funny you said that too, because I remember seeing the Vargas family, right, after one of the weigh-ins. It was I know Vienna. Who was it? Venado, I think, was fighting.
Venado Lopez?
Anyway, yeah. And so the weigh-in's over, and the whole family gets to their car, and like, bro, they looked like a reality TV family. I mean, they had these crazy like Louis Vuitton luggages. They're all dressed to the nines, right? Like, you know, the women in the family are dressed impeccably. The men in the family got the swag, you know, but of all of them, just the way that Emiliano walked, talked, carried himself, the way that everybody else in his circle, like, you know, kind of like moved around him, bro.
He was the chosen one, huh? The chosen one.
Like, even Vargas there, who, like, I'm looking at Vargas like, oh my God, like, this is the dude who, I mean, I saw every big fight. Like, me and my family, like, got together every big fight. Like, you know, I have so many memories with my grandpa and my dad together, all three of us, with that man on TV than probably anyone else, you know, I've ever seen. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, but you just couldn't help but see that it was Emiliano that was getting that he has the aura now, you know, and the dad is so fine with just being the, you know, the slightly overweight fighter, or slightly out of shape, my bad, fighter, you know, all these years later now, right, with his son possibly moving on to even bigger things than he did. Honestly, I could see it. You could see the rawness, you could see the potential there. And as much as Vargas was fun to watch and he had the heart of any Mexican you'll ever know, you know, he was flawed. He was flawed in a lot of different ways. He wasn't super athletic. He didn't really get around the punch very well. You know, there's just like a lot of little holes in his game that you see Emiliano tightened up a little bit.
So one of the things you mentioned, the potential star being even bigger and brighter for Emiliano, he didn't have, his father didn't have the liberty of having social media to boost him. Like, already Emiliano and his brothers, Emiliano's presence on YouTube and having his own, like you said, I said he was accustomed to being followed around by cameras. They filmed 2 seasons of a reality TV show, Keeping Up with Los Vargas, that was filmed on Univision. That was actually Jenny Rivera's, the singer's, production company. They were very close to, that was Jenny Rivera's production company. Yeah, they were very close to her at the time. I just want to put it out there, guys. They are bringing him up slowly. Don't expect too much. He's going to look fantastic. He just fought last month. You're going to see a knockout. You're going to see the speed. He's fighting a guy earlier, I think on Monday, did not have an opponent listed, and I joked, bro. I was like, if you can get a doctor to clear me, I'll take a fucking dive. I'll take the body shot for whatever you're paying, you know? He's fighting a guy named Juan Leon.
You have to pay me more for the body shot.
He's fighting a guy named Juan Leon from Spain, who's 11-2 with 1 draw. And Juan Leon, coming in from Spain at the last minute, his last opponent was Alexander Zeledon, 6 wins, 54 losses. The prior opponent was Eduardo Valverde, 5 wins, 13 losses. And prior to that, he fought the same guy, Alexander Zeledon, who at the time was 6 wins and 50 losses. And if you want me to go on, prior to that, 14 wins, 31 losses. This guy is coming into, I mean, I hope I don't miss it, because I paid good money to see this fight. You know, it's probably 1 or 2 rounds max that you're going to get out of this guy from Spain.
But I did hear that the opponent he's fighting today just recently had won the Employee of the Month at the Vic's Tire Shop. So, you know, I mean, there's a credential right there.
For what it's worth.
Okay.
Right?
No, you're right. It's going to be slow, but, you know, it sucks because we know what's going to happen, right? They're going to eventually turn on him. Just like the way you see people turning on Xander now. Even though it wasn't Xander's fault to be in the situation that he is, you see so many people, oh my God, he's never going to fight anyone, blah, blah. So eventually they're going to get to that point with Emiliano, right? But ultimately, I feel like if there is somebody you don't want to mess up in that young crop of guys that, you know, you have Abdullah in there and you got Keyshawn and, you know, so many other Tiger, Emiliano's the one you don't want to mess up. That's the one you definitely don't want to.
They want him to fight Mason. The crowd. I mean, I'm just talking about the internet. They want him to fight Mason, who's one of the brightest prospects, who has one of the highest ceilings, in my opinion, as well, at Top Rank. But something you don't see Top Rank do is pit 2 potential future stars against each other. You don't want to do that, because you're hoping one of them is going to be a star. You don't sabotage that by having 2 of your top prospects / contenders go at it. You know, Golden Boy? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I'm shocked. I heard some great news this week. Somebody that I followed very closely, and my friend Fonzie, who is in the chat, is good friends with Floyd Schofield's mom. We've watched fights, sat down next to her at the last fight Floyd Schofield had. But one perfect example is that, you know, it doesn't seem like Oscar is afraid to put him in with dangerous threats. He gave him the opportunity to fight Shakur Stevenson. Didn't show up, got sick, whatever. But now he's going to be fighting a guy who can really slug it out. Another guy I've had on my show, and he signed with Jake Paul's Promotions, and I'm very excited for that fight. I don't know if you heard about that one. I think this is going to be on that Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez card.
Okay.
Floyd Schofield is going to be fighting a Canadian friend of, managed by Phil LaGreco. Let me just put him out. Lucas Badi.
I love Lucas Badi.
Yeah.
I actually used to be his publicist.
You're his publicist?
I was his publicist.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's still with Phil LaGreco, right?
He is, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Phil, they have a super close relationship. Phil's the one that technically hired us. But I got to meet and talk with Lucas a lot, and he's a good kid.
Dangerous fight for both
Very
guys. I'm
fight.
like, I told Fonzie, I was like, hey, tell Schofield's mom that this is a good fight, that they should consider it. And we didn't have to do anything. All the great matchmakers say, hey, this is a great step up fight for both of these guys. And I thought that Lucas in that knockout contender of the year in 2024, when he knocked out H2O Silva, he showed that he can keep up with guys with serious speed and athleticism by beating guys with timing and that knockout power. This is a dangerous fight. Something you don't see.
I didn't even know that it was made for that card.
Well, Schofield has unfortunately fallen out a couple of times on some really big fights. Including that, you know, Shakur Stevenson fight that he got ill. I don't know if it, you know, there was more than one fighter that got ill in that on that card, that Riyadh season card in Saudi Arabia.
That's gonna be a tough thing for him to come back from. I think, honestly, it's such a tough thing because like people talk so much shit. Like I remember what happened with Verge and Stanionis. Like I was in San Antonio, already in my hotel room. You know, I have my press credentials, everything ready to go for weigh-in and everything, right? And then we get the word that, you know, 24 or 40 hours, whatever, before the fight that Verge is, you know, pulling out. We were all pissed. Obviously, I was mad because I wanted to cover it so bad. I wanted to see that fight. It was such a good fight on paper to me. It still is. But I remember like months later thinking, you know what, though, if Verge would have went in there and he was dehydrated, that could have been really bad for the sport of boxing. Like if he would have went in there and been like half of himself and then gotten his head knocked in the third row, how does that help anyone like in boxing, right? Especially when we find out like, oh, he was suffering from dehydration, yada, 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 right? And in this situation with Floyd Schofield, like you can't go to a different country that has a different time zone to fight the biggest and best opponent you've ever faced with more on the line than any other fight you've ever had. And if you're not feeling yourself, if something is wrong, obviously you can't go into that fight. The problem is the optics of it. The optics of it, you were fine, and then all of a sudden sick when the fight there's nowhere else to go. And then a few days later, you were fine. In fact, 24 hours later, you were at the fucking fights. Like, all I know is that there are people that still haven't forgiven them for it. I love Schofield. I've interviewed him. I know his management team, his father.
Texas kid,
all
right?
Great people. Texas kid, yes. All straight up people, all good people. But I feel like that amount of exposure in that, what was it, like a month and a half, 2 months of craziness, it left them in the worst light possible. I think that Schofield Sr. is probably one of the he's like in T.O. dad territory right now. He's in like Danny's dad territory right now. Like people dislike him a lot. They don't trust him. They don't trust his word. They think he's a liar. And I could tell you right now, nothing could be further from the truth. That man is a very straight up guy, but no one's going to take my word for it when he was the one out there saying that, you know, Shakur sent some people to poison them. And like, it was just crazy.
It was
like
wild
movie shit, bro. It was wild. Too wild. He thought that this was going to all work out well for a big fight. And then they cancel it and then they have it again. It's going to be millions of pay-per-view buys and blah, blah, blah. But you got to know that you take damage. Everything has repercussions in this business, from a political or media standpoint. And he's gonna be taking the media lickings for a while, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sure the chat probably already said
there was definitely some damage. Some damage to the reputation. So I hope for both of these guys, they're really fine gentlemen. Lucas is not particularly fast, but he is one hell of a power KO puncher. And I had high expectations for Floyd Schofield. I still do. Both of these guys legit contenders at lightweight 135. A fight that I hope it does happen, and they both make it to the ring at this major event. Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez. This is a great fight, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Amanda says San Antonio, Texas in the house. Of course, the hometown of welterweight champion Mario Barrios, who potentially could be fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Pacquiao, bro, crazy.
That is really crazy.
What is going on, bro? Anything to make Mario a big star, but bro, Pacquiao getting a title shot at this point.
45, 46. It sounds like a money grab, and
it does.
Honestly, Mario's a great kid, and I don't blame him. He's had that money grab opportunity before. When he fought Gervonta Tank Davis, that was a great fight. He just had recently had a baby with the sister of another Texas champion.
Yeah,
the two brothers.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. Fatherhood. Obviously, the money's very important now when you're a parent. So we'll see if that Mario Barrios fight comes to fruition against Manny Pacquiao, a former legend. Let's see what else I had on the really quickly.
It's, Lillian Figueroa. What's his name's sister? Yeah,
Figueroa's sister. Yeah, they just had a child together. Congratulations to both of them. Like I said, can't really hate on people. Obviously, family is very important, and making big money, legacy fight like that, legacy money, it is what it is. It's the business of boxing. But Sunday, really quickly, Mario, I do need to go, and I got about 10 more minutes before I got to go. Let's just run down this card. Sunday, Top Rank right here in Las Vegas. They were giving away tickets. Sales were really disappointing, Mario. They had to close off the entire bleachers. In fact, I know people that bought bleacher seats because they just wanted to see the fight, and they got an email saying, hey, you've been upgraded. We're closing off the top section.
I love when that happens.
To give the appearance of a full house. And Fonzie was like, well, why didn't they just have it at MGM Grand or Mandalay Bay? I don't know. I think they really expected Inoue, the Japanese monster, to be a bigger draw here in Las Vegas. He's fought here twice before, not big house. In fact, he fought at Mandalay Bay one time.
But those ticket prices were crazy, though, bro.
Yeah,
for this one, those ticket prices were nuts, ridiculous. And off the back of WrestleMania, like all the people in Vegas who attend and in the area, like, bro, if you wanted to go to Mania and then you want to go to this card, you're dropping 10 grand.
Yeah, as a local? Yeah, right, exactly. Because
as a local.
Yeah, as an outsider coming in from out of town, you just can't afford it. A sports fan can't just afford. I mean, there's very few people who can come for WrestleMania and then come back for Cinco de Mayo and watch a fight, let alone paying for a Canelo fight like that. But yeah, it was expensive. They're closing off the top section, and now they made it a little bit more affordable. It looks like it's going to be now close to a full house because they've eliminated 5,000 potential seats. Nonetheless, the co-main event should be a good one. Both of these guys are Texas fighters. We got Edward Vasquez. I mentioned I saw him fight Joe Cordina in Monte Carlo, not in person, but on TV. And that was a great championship level fight. He did not get the decision. He's fighting a guy who's 6'1". He's a freak of nature. Espinosa, featherweight champion from Guadalajara, Mexico. Does he stand a chance being so short, 5'6"? I think Vasquez is like 5'6", 5'7". That's a lot to overcome and reach, height, game plan to beat someone who knows how to use that reach and height.
Who you going with?
I'm going for Rafael Espinosa, man. But Vasquez is a tough kid. I just want everybody to know Vasquez is a tough kid. He's getting his second world title opportunity. He's come up short before. I expect a good fight, regardless. I'd like to see how he's going to overcome those disadvantages. It's just hard, man. The Cuban guy who fought him, Robicio Ramirez, He had some great moments. Even I think, did he hurt Espinosa in that fight? It can be done. Maybe he'll follow that blueprint, but I don't think he wins that fight. I hope to see some fireworks in that event. Your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, listen, 6'1" is a crazy height for featherweight. A really, really crazy psychotic height. However, I think that what we've seen in the last like 16 months, we've had a couple of good examples of the shorter fighter coming in and prevailing. And even in the Tim Tszyu Fundora fight, you saw Fundora get cracked. You saw the holes. I don't know if Fundora wins that fight without a major
gash,
just dashing blood from his, from Tszyu's face. That said, like I said, we have seen it done before. That said, it is not something that every fighter is capable of doing every time out, especially on the big stage in the bright lights. It's one thing to spar a guy who's 4 or 5 inches taller than you every day in sparring. It's a completely different thing to go out there with your ring walk and all your crowd behind you and this crowd behind you and the fights that have gone on and the main event that will go on. Like, all that spotlight on you raises everything. So I'm going to pick Espinosa in this one, but I absolutely think you're right. I think we will see Edwards find a way and cut through the reach and probably the volume that we'll see early on and in the mid rounds to, get a few tags. But ultimately, I think a successful title defense is what we'll see.
And of course, the main event, Inoue, the monster, not quite the draw they expected. Obvious to me, he's pound for pound great. One of the pound for he's fighting Cardenas, who, like we mentioned earlier, Pro Box has turned around the career of so many or given opportunities for world titles. Cardenas, I believe, is a Texas kid too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He said, where are you from? What town? Shout out to Texas. San Antonio in the building for sure. Ramon Cardenas trains with Joel Diaz, I think, here in Coachella Valley in California. He can crack, bro. He really can crack. You watch his tape, had a lot of experience fighting really tough guys in Mexico early on in his career. He's got a brilliant left hook, but defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired. We saw Luis Nieri drop. Luis Nieri from Tijuana, he dropped Inoue recently, but then Inoue adjusted and did what he does, which is build that momentum and just rock him, sock him, just hit you so hard, break you down. I won't be surprised if Ramon Cardenas can catch Inoue, and that's his best chance. If he can just catch him with a nice power shot, either right hand or his left hook, that he can actually hurt Inoue, who's also been hurt by the Filipino Flash in the past. But then there's levels to it, right? And there's levels that Inoue has demonstrated time and time again, even at lower weight classes, moving up to this weight class, that he's got more than one gear. He's got that 6, 7 gear your car don't have, man. He's got those gears. Inoue by late stoppage, in my opinion. And what do you think about that fight?
Yeah, I'm gonna look for a mid to late round stoppage as well. I think that I think that when you look at this fight, there's a potential for anyone who bought a ticket to have a lot of fun, right? It's gonna be a great show, I have no doubt. But when you look at the pricing and you look at the date and you look at everything that surrounds it, no, this isn't the fight that I think a lot of people assumed would be the one that Inoue would use to, catapult himself to a higher level of promotion in the States. That said, though, we are where we are. And I think that if you're Inoue in his camp, you have to go out there and you have to prove that you are the attraction. You are the draw. And it doesn't matter if you sold 10,000 tickets or 10 tickets. It does not matter. Ultimately, if you can go out there and produce a highlight reel knockout or enough, offensive successions that you steal the show on ESPN and they're showing you week in and week out, and the next week we're talking about is the Inoue knockout and not the Canelo Borefest or Teofimo hugging all night, like whatever. I'm not saying those things are happening. I'm just saying you have to go out there and you have to make something special happen. That could give Cardenas the ability to have a chance. But ultimately, this is Inoue's fight to lose.
Yeah, unfortunately, hardcore boxing fans know that there's a guy at the division, MJ, that seemed to have been avoided. I don't even think MJ would have been a fighter that would have garnished more attention commercially. I don't think that would have even sold much better. Hardcore boxing fans would be like, yeah, that's a much better fight than Ramon Cardenas. He's a former world champion, and MJ, but I don't even think that. I think he'd need an opponent that's American that people know. Like you'd have to book Gervonta Tank Davis at one. Like they'd have to meet at 130, and then you got a super fight, and then the Japanese will actually get on the plane and be like, 100%. We're coming to support 100%. You. So guys, not to be left out. Obviously, the face of boxing, arguably still the face of boxing. Canelo Alvarez fights Saturday night. My family's coming to town to watch it. We're gonna watch it. You got Jaime Mungia from Tijuana in a rematch against the guy who surprisingly knocked him out in Tijuana in his backyard. One of the most brutal knockouts of the past year. You've got a heavyweight fight in Efe Akjaba versus Bakoli. Bakoli ending the career of Jared Anderson, in my opinion. And then you had a really interesting cruiserweight fight. Wow, I'm shocked that Badou Jack, what a long layoff, is going to get a chance to fight for a title, or it's like a title in limbo and recess against a former champion. That should be really interesting. Should be an interesting Saturday night. If you're paying $90, you get to watch both tomorrow's fight, and you get to watch this one. Who do you got in this cruiserweight matchup? It's interesting. Badou Jack, former, used to train here in Vegas, TMT, now in his early 40s.
Yeah.
Who do you like in that one?
My bad. I'm so sorry. The thing cut off. In the Mungia fight, you said?
Oh no, Badou Jack versus a former. Both of them are former world champions, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I think it's Inoue. Is how you say it? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough one because it's like,
inactivity.
I don't know what we're supposed exactly. Like, what are we supposed to see? Like, if you want me to talk to you about the prime Badou Jack, you know what I'm saying? Then fine, we could try. But ultimately, like, I don't think that's what we're gonna see. But I'm gonna pick him just because, he is the A side after all. It's like you said earlier. Will they put a guy in with somebody who, they're not trying to build off of or whatever? But
he's definitely demonstrated all the way from 168 that he's got the dog in him. And there's a really great potential for him to fight Zurdo Ramirez if he does pick up this title. So I'm actually rooting for Badou Jack in this heavyweight matchup. Bakoli looked like trash coming in at the last minute in Saudi Arabia. He came in like, 1 week's notice, 3 days notice? That was the card. That's the Floyd Schofield card where Floyd got sick in Saudi Arabia. He came in at with no preparation. But I think he's going to be in shape now, and I think we're going to see more or less of what we saw against Jared Anderson, and I've got him by stoppage in this one. What about you?
Yeah, so do I. I think a stoppage is probably where it goes, however long it lasts. And that's the thing is I'm excited to see it because ultimately I think that, this is something on the card that's at least different from everything else. Like, it's like wrestling. Like, when you have a big show, you expect to see tag team, singles, ladder match, like whatever, right? And in boxing, when you buy a pay-per-view card, I want to see the best little guys go after it, but I also want to see a big heavyweight, slugfest. I want to see a technical fight. I want to see, I want to see a little bit of everything. And this is a card that does that, and this is a fight that offers that kind of versatility.
Exactly. Well, we already talked about this. Jaime Mungia fought Canelo Alvarez. He was going to have a great homecoming fight, kind of like Berlanga was going to have a homecoming fight in Puerto Rico after fighting Canelo. And the homecoming went all wrong, picking this French-Italian, Surasi, who knocked him out in front of his hometown crowd. Here he gets a chance to avenge his loss. I think this is a crossroads fight. Jaime Mungia cannot afford to lose. Cannot, but then again, if Surasi wins, we've got a new star in the division. Honestly, it's not a fluke. Can he land the same shot? I mean, did Jaime Mungia, under the tutelage of Canelo's trainers Eddie Reynoso, is he going to fix those mistakes?
No, I think he will. I think that he's got a lot of talented people behind him who are smart and can, help him adjust. And also at the same time, you could argue that it was an Amir Khan moment where he was having too much success that he dropped his guard, or he, just got unfocused for a little bit, whatever. I mean, you could argue that. I'm not saying that's what it was, but ultimately everything I've heard, Jaime Mungia looks great. He hasn't really been affected. But there's no way to know that until the fight. But I think that we'll see Jaime Mungia get revenge and take this win.
Yeah, I think he will too as well. But, Conor Benn, we talked about him a lot today. He had Surasi in his training camp, and you could see they said that Conor Benn was roughing up Surasi all the entire camp, including William Skull, who William Skull was the other sparring partner for Conor Benn. If there's any success, like if there's any tell sign of success, then we lost Mario. Mario should be calling right back. But if there's any telltales of success from what the success that Conor Benn had in the ring with a much bigger opponent, then maybe Surasi will be a durable opponent on Saturday night. Well, while Mario gets back, guys, we're getting close to wrapping up the show. We'll see if he calls me right back. It's just the main event. I appreciate everyone who's been watching this episode. It's been a longer one today. Thank you so much to all the new people. Amanda, Mom Food for modding. I appreciate you guys. We get to the main event. The face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez, has not knocked out anybody in years. And here he has an unknown Cuban fighter who's actually lives in Germany, unknown to most American fans, unknown to most Mexican fans, but he holds a key piece of the puzzle. Canelo wants to be undisputed again. He only holds 3 of the 4 belts. They took it away from him. They said, if you don't fight this guy, we're taking the belt away from you. He lost that belt. The Cuban fighter Skull picked up the belt. William Skull picked up this belt, and now Canelo says, I'll fight him. I'll fight him now. I want my belt back. Turki Al-Sheikh saying, Turki Al-Sheikh paying for this fight said, fight this guy and get that belt back, because when you fight in September, which is the date that they want to fight against Terrence Bud Crawford, we want all 4 belts on the line. We want to make sure this is a super fight between you and Terrence Crawford. Canelo has to beat this guy, but because he has not knocked out anybody in years, Canelo needs to put on a show, guys, this weekend. He needs to let people know, I might be approaching my mid-30s, but I still got plenty of power, plenty of pop. I like Canelo to win this fight. The odds are astronomically against William Skull. The question is, will he pick up a fan-friendly knockout this weekend on Saturday? The guy's big. I'm just letting you guys know, if you haven't seen what this guy William Skull looks like, he is a very big super middleweight, maybe 6 feet to 6'1", extremely strong, but he's never, not one person on his resume is the caliber of fighter that the face of boxing Canelo Alvarez is. There's not one guy on his resume. In fact, to win that title, he struggled in his last fight. He struggled. Some people say he didn't even win that freaking matchup. Shout out to the Fight Doctor. Appreciate you. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Let me see. Can I put this picture below me? I don't think Mario, guys, please go out and subscribe to my boy Mario Mungia, also a writer. He's writes for a lot of publications, also a comic, and just a great host on his YouTube channel at YouTube Infighting Hub. Canelo versus Skull this Saturday. I got Canelo. I'm unsure if he knocks this guy out, guys. I am hoping for a knockout because it will sell the shit out of the Terrence Crawford fight. Let's all hope that Canelo does get a knockout on Cinco de Mayo weekend. Let's all hope that William Skull gives him a good fight, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this fight at home, celebrating, drinking tequila, and getting together with family. And shout out to my mom and all my family coming into Las Vegas this weekend. If you're looking for a place, if you're in Las Vegas this weekend, a lot of people told me they're not coming at the last minute. If you are coming, they're showing it for free at the Tuscany Casino, which is somewhere behind Paradise Road, Tuscany Casino, at the sports bar. They got a free, huge Cinco de Mayo party, and I'll be there. I will be there, guys. Again, guys, thank you so much for hanging with the Shoeshine Thursday special edition. I hope everybody has a blessed Thursday night and a blessed Cinco de Mayo weekend. 3 major fights. It's incredible. Shout out to my boy Mario. Shout out to my co-host Drew. We'll be back on Monday. I might come on tomorrow before the fight. Again, major fight Friday night. Ryan Garcia, some say the future star, maybe the future face of boxing. Who knows? That's Friday night, New York City, Times Square. 300 people. The rest of America, the rest of the world will be watching Times Square tomorrow. Devin the 702. Thank you so much again, guys. We'll be back on Monday night, guaranteed. 7:30, 7:45 for our recap show. Until then, peace out, everybody.